This is Ground Affected. I am Brent, and welcome to dropping your phone in the toilet. And in today's video, you're gonna see how I painted Loki and Sylvie, sculpted by 3D Wicked. I made a couple of modifications to the base on this one. The base is not exactly how they intended it to be, but I made it to fit my shelf and my budget for materials. Without any further dilly, let's get straight into the video. Starting this one out strong, I'm gonna go straight into how I made this base. Scratching the pieces before I glue them together is just giving them more grip to hold on to. I'm using 5-minute 2-part epoxy to make sure that the bond between these two pieces is as strong as it ever can possibly be. I basically cut off the pieces of the disc part, and I still used the main rocks that came with the original sculpt, but I glued them in slightly different places and made sure that they seemed like they sit well together. I then used green stuff to fill in the gaps that was left over from the base that I made underneath this. It's basically just a circle with another circle over the top, and I used the original logo and pushed it straight into the circle in 3D Builder. It's super simple to make and really easy to make this work. The only thing is, obviously, you need to do some work to making it seem more cohesive. So filling the gaps that was left over between the original base and the new base that I had made, I used super glue to stick down bits of bark which I literally stole straight out of my snake's tanks. I glued them all around the base in a way that would make it look as if it was naturally placed there. I used the super glue and the green stuff to stick the bark pieces into places that were a little bit more tricky. I then used sand, which I had found in a quarry. I poured the super glue down and just sprinkled the sand straight over the top of that. One of the problems with sticking sand over the top of super glue is that the top pieces don't stick so well, so I take alcohol in a spray bottle and I spray that over the top of the whole mix just to try and break the surface tension of the super glue. I then primed that with just a plain rattle can, literally just a grey. Using milliput, I had to fill in the gap that was around the rim of the base, the part where I joined the original base to my base. I have made a video in the past about using this stuff to fill in gaps. It's a little bit of a nightmare, but it works really well and does the job exactly what I needed to do, bar a little bit of extra work. Also filling in some of the gaps as I had FDM printed the rocks, so there was a little bit of lines from the layers in there, and I just covered that with milliput. I'm now priming this entire model, and I start off with the black, and for some reason I felt like I needed to zenithal this one. That was a mistake, and you'll see why later. Painting the base, I started with the rocks. Doing this is pretty simple. The way I like to approach this is I tend to prefer rocks that are more grayish in color, but rocks are never just gray. There are a lot of colors in just a rock. So what I do is I take a gray, a black, a slightly brownish kind of color, and a little bit of yellow, and I'll kind of mix them as I go along. I just literally, the way I find best to do natural looking rocks is to slap the paint around rather than actually paint it around. I then used Armageddon Dust, which is a technical paint from Citadel, and I shoved that into all the gaps in between where the sand was that I had originally glued down. This is going to give me a bit more texture, even though there is already texture there, but the color is really great and the texture of it is really cool as well. I then took a slightly lighter brown, it's almost like a yellow sandy kind of brown, which I used to just highlight certain areas that were higher up on the tops of the sand. I then based the logo gold, and I used a metallic silver to paint around the pipes that are all around the rocks of this diorama. Now it's time to start adding a little bit more saturation and depth into the rocks. What I'll do is I'll take a dark and a light wash, usually a flesh wash and a dark tone from Army Painter, and I'll paint this all over the rocks, but I'll make sure to do it as sporadically as I can. I'll put some dark, some light, and kind of mix the two as they go along. This starts to bring a bit more saturation back into the piece and gives it a little bit more life. I also take pigment powders and rub that all over the sand to try and get a little bit more value out of the sand as well. And then I start working on the logo. This is pretty straightforward, just base coating the logo. Most of the letters are a solid color, so I painted them solid and gave them an edge highlight. The L is the only one that has a slight kind of crystal-y effect, and I painted that in black and gray and then glazed over the top of that with a green. I then sprayed the figures black again, and I sprayed a bluish grey from the zenithal position to give them the color of their suits. Using a green from my Army Painter airbrush set, I then painted all the green parts of Sylvie's suit. I'm now using the fairy flesh set, and this is what I use for all the skin tones for most of the projects that I do. And if you're interested in the process for this, I have got a video which I've made, and I'll leave it up in the top corner now. This is my super secret sauce. It's called Grimoire Purple, and it's from Army Painter. It is the perfect color to turn into a glaze and paint into the shadows and glaze over your freshly painted skin. I find that skin tones tend to be a little bit desaturated, and in order to bring that saturation back into the skin, I use this purple glaze to try and bring some life into the skin and make it look like blood is running underneath the skin surface. And then I'm going to base coat the hair. I used a mid-tone brown because we're going to build up from this later on. I then used the darker skin tone that I have and add a touch of red to it to do the lips for Sylvie. Painting the insides of her eyes black, this is going to give us the shape of her eye as well as parts of the makeup on the model. I then washed the entire hair with a mix of Agrax Earthshade and Resin Flesh Shade. Something super cool that one of my viewers had messaged me privately on Facebook about was this Molotov chrome paint. And it's actually a marker paint, but the bottle that I've just showed you is a refill for this. This is one of the chromiest chromes I've ever seen, as well as it handles being touched, and you can also clear coat over the top of it. I used Null Oil, which is known as the miniature painter's liquid skill. In this case, it's not going to do much skill for us, but it is going to highlight those deeper crevices on the suit and around the areas that I want to push your eye towards. Some of the details on the suits are really incredible, and I don't want to lose any of that. I'm now doing some of the finer details around whatever you call those straps that hold the chest thing on. And for the gold on this piece, I'm using Pro Acrylic, and I'm mixing bronze and rich gold. Of the two of these colors, bronze goes down super well, and I really like the characteristic of that paint. However, the rich gold doesn't go down as easy. So I mixed the two in order to get the characteristic of the bronze gold and a slight richer gold from the rich gold mixed into it. I'm going to use this on all the attachments only on the suits and bodies of these characters, because I then used Vallejo's liquid gold to paint the handles of Sylvie's knives and the entire staff of Loki. I'm going to dry brush her hair. We're going to start off with a slightly desaturated brown. It's almost as if a little bit of white has been mixed into brown, and then that's obviously going to desaturate the hair, so I'm going to want to bring the saturation back up again. And in order to do this, I'm going to use the sandy brown that I had used in the base. This also ties the colors together. We don't want to have way too many different colors, but also I don't want her hair to look just like it comes out of the sand. So in order to fix that, something I noticed on the 1/6 scale Hot Toys is that they use a metallic paint in order to dry brush the very finest dry brushing parts on the hair. And in my case, the color that I'm going to use is light bronze from Pro Acrylic. Using a larger brush means it will give me finer lines on the ridges as I dry brush, and as you can see, this gives it an extremely good look. I'm going to go back in with the wash again, but this time very selective of where I place it. This is only to try and increase the depth and trick your eye into seeing the hair as being a lot more fuller and have more volume. Painting her feet and legs was pretty simple. I pretty much used a mixture of gloss and satin clears in order to bring out certain highlights in the boots. I also used a wash down the seams. I painted her gloves black as well, and I highlighted some of the details on her boots like the laces and a couple of other ridges here and there. Working on Loki, I'm going to do the exact same process. Paint him black again because I didn't realize he needed to be black when I zenithalled him at first. I'm going to then paint Loki's cape. And if you hadn't have noticed before, I had wrapped up the base while I was painting them. This was so that I had some way for them to stand and I could paint them, and it's a lot easier to paint them while they're standing up so that I don't have to lay them down and the paint can dry nice and easy. I tend to put the pieces together quite often just to make sure that as I'm working on it, the lights are hitting where I want them to hit, the colors are working together, and things are starting to pull together in kind of the way that I was hoping when I originally started the color scheme. I also tend to go backwards and forwards and dry brush areas as I put them together, so putting them together like this helps me to see exactly where I need to add a bit more attention to, or perhaps dull. This was the only other place that I used the Vallejo liquid gold. This stuff works really well out of an airbrush. I really don't like the way that it works on a brush, but coming out of an airbrush, it's the best gold hands down. That is 100% sure. It goes on super great. Painting the hands, I'm going to paint the base tone onto Sylvie's fingers on the hands that are holding her knives. It's probably going to take a couple of layers, but I'll do that over time. I'm also going to use a pin wash to catch some of the details on the blade itself. Using a dry brush of the exact same bluish grey, I'm going to dry brush the hands and get that detail coming through. Also highlighting some of the edges with that same bluish grey, but because it's not dry brushed, it looks a lot brighter. I'm going to glue the hands onto Sylvie at the moment, just because I want to focus the highlights on her fingers on her hands, and this is going to be easier this way. Working on Sylvie's face, I'm going to start doing the whites of her eyes now. This is called the whites of your eyes, but we never paint this pure white. Usually you want to use an ivory color. Moving back onto Loki's head, I'm going to paint the base tones onto her skin. The unfortunate part of using the Vallejo's liquid gold is that I needed to paint a few layers over the top, as adhesion between liquid gold and the new acrylics was not good at all. I used contrast colors Cygor brown to base coat Loki's hair, and again the adhesion between liquid gold and the new layer of acrylic paint was not good at all, so it means that I needed to do a couple of layers to just try and enforce that adhesion. As you can see, I jump around quite a lot on a model that has two characters in it, only because I'm waiting for things to dry, and while I'm waiting for things to dry, it's good for me to just move between parts as I go along. Also, you'll notice that I chose to paint the skin tones on Loki by brush rather than airbrush. I will come back later and give it an airbrush look by just doing some of the highlights with the airbrush. I felt it would be a lot easier for me to get this done by hand rather than use the airbrush and mask out this entire helmet. I'm going to use ROXY flesh shade in some of the areas on the helmet as well, so that I can try and strengthen some of the recesses and give the helmet a little bit more to look at. I also dry brushed over the top of the helmet. I dry brushed with a light bronze mixed with bright gold from Acrylic. This was just to add a little bit more interest to the helmet itself. And this is how Loki's helmet and face is looking so far. Unfortunately, when I thought it would be easier for me to paint by hand the skin tones on Loki, I lied to myself. All that it means is that I have to spend a little bit more time making sure I build up to smooth gradients. I dry brushed his hair to give it a little bit of highlight, and then moved swiftly on to painting the golds onto his suit. For this, I used the mix of bronze and rich gold from Acrylic because, like I said, it goes down super easy with a brush, and if I wasn't going to mask out the helmet to paint the face, I definitely was not going to be masking out this body to paint this gold on. And so using that mix meant it would be a lot easier for me to paint this by hand without too much troubles. I used the ROXY flesh shade again to go into the creases and crevices on the staff, just to give it a bit more visual interest. And then base painted the skin tones on his hand. Again, skipping back and forwards. Rather than let my hand touch over wet paint, I tend to move away from the object and come back and paint it again later. Once that had all dried, I went back in with a slightly lighter green. I did not use the same green on Loki as I used on Sylvie. This is because I want it to be a visual representation of two separate characters. Yes, they both have green, but I can create some difference between them by using a slightly different green. That's a small trick. It's a super subtle trick. But that's the kind of tricks that take your work up to the next level, at least in my opinion. Continuing with Loki's face, I'm going to paint some of the crevices and some of the darker creases around his mouth with ROXY flesh shade to try and get a little bit more depth in it. Again, I used the Molotov Chrome and I painted the end of his staff. This I just airbrushed over, and I had to come back and touch up the gold that was left around. Also doing the seam around all of his tunic part. That was a nightmare a little bit, but I cut a lot of that out because obviously that would be boring to watch. Painting the skin tones on his hand again, I started this out with the brush and I went over the top of this with the airbrush, really careful not to go over any of the paint that I'd put down before. I did the same thing over the face. I just turned my air pressure right down and I did this really carefully with quite a thin paint, and I did it slowly and took my time, made sure that it worked out. Working on their faces, I had to paint in the irises on both of them. Both of them have a slightly different color iris to each other. Sylvie's is bluish green and Loki's is a little bit more greener. So I mixed these as I went. I basically took a dark brown, a dark green, a light green and a yellow, and I made a mix between all of these, but made sure that Loki's was a little bit greener than what Sylvie's were. Again, it's another way you can signify difference between characters because they are different characters. Perhaps you can't see that in the video, but it definitely comes across when you look at them in person. As for gluing these parts together, I'm going to glue his cape on with the 5-minute epoxy. Epoxy, specifically 5-minute epoxy, has a slight amount of flex to it. It's not a lot, but it's just enough to help the model not snap apart. I used super glue for the staff and I stuck that into place, and with that the model is complete. That was quite a long video, and if you've made it already this far, I'm not going to keep you much longer. Don't forget to check the links in the description below for 3D Wicked, as well as the Patreon. Yes, that's right, I have a Patreon where you can join, and this gives you access to our private Discord, in which you can discuss painting, printing, and all things model related with the other guys who are all super enthusiastic about the same things. If you've ever wanted to be in contact directly with me and have a conversation, we chat over there almost daily. Don't you be the one that misses out. I almost forgot, we got 2 more new patrons I need to thank for joining the Patreon. That is Rudy Herrera and Peebo. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really helps the channel keep lights on that keep blinding me. Make sure to leave a like. If you liked it enough, perhaps consider subscribing. As well as, when we get to this time of the video, there's only one thing left to say. If you don't like it, click the dislike and f**k off. Everything is all backwards at the moment. I have no idea where anything is.